Hello Uganda, good evening and welcome to the show On the Spot. My name is Patrick Kamara. Tonight we take a look at the state of the national address that was given by President Yoweri Museveni this afternoon at Kololo Ceremonial Ground. The president was in a very jovial and buoyant mood about the state of Uganda. He talked so well about the economy, security, education and health. In fact, the president pointed out that Uganda had been singled out by the International Monetary Fund as the 7th fastest growing economy in the world. We'll be trying to look into this speech from the different perspective of my guests that I'll be introducing to you shortly. Let me introduce my panel this evening. I have the Honorable Gerard Karuhanga, who is the spokesperson of the Alliance for National Transformation. Honorable Gerard, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you and good evening.
I have Honorable Anthony Akol, Member of Parliament for Kilaka North constituency. Thank you so much for joining us. Good evening.
I thank you very much, and let me use this opportunity to also greet our viewers. Thank you very much.
We also have this evening Elliot Orizarwa, who is a political analyst. Thank you so much for joining us, Elliot. Good evening.
Good evening, dear listeners.
And so, a warm welcome to all of you. Let me begin with you, Gerard, who is very close to me here on my immediate left. I suppose you must have listened to the president's speech. We shall maybe go specific, but generally, if I may begin, what did you make of the speech, of the state of the nation?
I've always thought that when a president addresses a nation in a particular way, which is a very constitutional obligation, you want to focus more on the reality than the rhetoric. And so what I listened to today, I just picked it from online. It's interesting when you say, for instance, let's speak about the 7%. When you say the economy is growing at 7%, you want to ask yourself, what is the reality on ground? So let's assume actually that this semblance of 7% really exists.
Well, I remember the 7th fastest growing economy in the world. Seventh
fastest growing economy, as he seems to say. So the question is, who is actually growing in this 7th position? For an economy whose taxes are 70% of the taxes are paid by foreign investors. I mean, we need to keep praying to God that soon nothing happens to, of the 70%, you can't believe that 55% are Indians. So you imagine something happened and they had to, the number of them had to run back to their country. So you want to examine and say, yes, you may have these figures, but where is this Ugandan in this 7th position that you are talking about? Is it easier now to raise school fees for one's child? Is it easier for a young graduate to find a job, whether he has a diploma or a degree? Does he go to a better hospital? So when is it? So I thought that the president would actually quickly qualify and say that whereas I appreciate that maybe there could be some growth, but we still need to fix the progress of this citizen.
But let me ask, to be fair to the NRM government and the president, I think they have done something, in my view, that is unprecedented. 3-point-something trillion shillings to send it directly to the pockets of Ugandans. I don't think anybody has been able to do that. If you have a parish in Intungamo, or wherever you are, and every parish you have 100 million, isn't that something?
You need to cross-check the world. I don't know of any country in the world that has developed or progressed by getting handouts from his own government.
Well, this is a loan, Gerard.
Well, the previous experience has shown that most of this money is given out and then later it's called Kasimo, meaning generally this money tends to be hyped largely towards elections. So during elections, don't be surprised when you hear say, no, don't disturb my people. And so because we've seen this
whether
before.
it is election or not, if election related, then President Museveni has had a master stroke because, well, you could say he has bought it and it is done. If it is election related, election related, 100 million at every parish in this country, you're done.
Well, I mean, that's again, your purchasing power. So if you purchase politics, I don't know whether you're actually focusing on developing the country. Let's examine this PDM briefly. If I really wanted to develop a country, I'm not sure whether I want to give people money or I want to develop what they're actually investing in. So if I know that, for instance, in Toro, people are interested in tea, so I want to see, okay, I mean, not everyone can go into tea, so how do I ensure that this tea, those who can go into it, they benefit from it, not just the fellows who build the factories? Or if, for instance, I know that the fellows in Bugisu are very keen on coffee, how do I ensure that this citizen, this coffee farmer, gets more money by adding value to this coffee, not by just exporting the green bean? So for me, and cases are there. So you want to cross-check statistics of the world and see if there is any country that has progressed or developed by giving out handouts. You probably will find none.
Let me go to Honorable Anthony Cole. Honorable Anthony Cole, I'm beginning with digressing because you just stepped in here looking so smart, but in a yellow tie. And in Uganda, yellow tie nowadays means you are very NRM. And yes, you are, because just the other day, you shocked many of your supporters, those who didn't know, when you picked the nomination forms of the NRM to go for primaries. I wonder, people must be asking themselves, when did you go to this Damascus turnaround?
Well, you are talking about the yellow of today or the yellow of yesterday. But I think if you've been in the country, the story started in February.
Oh, you've been like a popo. You are the popo like
I crossed to NRM.
Namboze talks about.
On the 15th. No. The Namboze's issue is about people who are not straightforward. For me, I made my decision, and it is my right. You know, as a Ugandan, it is a free entry and free exit. Like Honorable Karanga was in FDC, now he's talking about Alliance for National Transformation. So it is free exit and free what? Entry. So I changed on the 15th of February. And that happened in a function in my constituency.
From FDC to NRM? From
FDC to NRM. And the midwife was the Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda. And after that I met...
And the doctor was who?
I met the President of the Republic of Uganda. So it's no longer a news. It is known in the country that I changed my party and I'm going for primary elections.
You know, in my line of duty, I've had an opportunity and an honor to deal with you professionally. And every time I would see you speak with a lot of clarity on matters that you see that the NRM is doing wrong. I hope the words you used were soft and tender, because there could be a time when you go back to Clark County and then you could choke on your own words.
I don't have a problem. I was a very straightforward politician. I was actually criticizing government on issues which even that time, even up to now, when you ask anybody in government, we'd believe you that what Honorable Akol was talking about are truth, and the problems that people went through in northern Uganda, especially during the war, and there was no efforts to make sure people get out of poverty, and also no effort to make sure that they are rehabilitated.
You know, there was some...
Therefore, I made those allegations, those questions to government several times. I realized we need a solution-oriented leadership. And that's why we changed the approach and made sure that we had meetings, and after meetings, we came out with clear procedure of how those issues will be addressed.
Clearly, this looks like a case. If you can't beat them, you join them. But also, you're going to find some people who have spent their time, their energy, they have sacrificed for the NRM in Kilaka. Perhaps you have even been on the opposing sides, and now you're picking the forms, they will be picking the forms, and tomorrow they'll be saying, look at him, the Johnny come lately. What are your chances?
I don't have any problem, because people have come to understand me, that I'm coming in NRM for issues, and especially I was in opposition not for my own, interest, but I was talking for the interest of the voters.
All right, I'm going to
So the voters are really understanding me. That's number one. And anybody who will come to say he has just come, the fact of the matter is, everything starts from the mind of one person. The person who started this movement was President Yoweri Museveni. The rest of the people joined him. He first started with 27 people. I think there are left about 4 of them now. So if you say people who have come should leave, nobody will be in NRM.
I'm sure your friend who was booked in Luzira, watching and listening to you right now, he must be shedding his head in disbelief.
No, I think
probably in total regret. I'm talking about Dr. Kizza Besigye, who was your very close friend.
My issue is very simple. You see, what I entered into with the government of the Republic of Uganda is what we call Operation Harmony. And I think those who are in a position should try to embrace that, so that their grievances should be addressed in an amicable way by sitting on a table and talking with the government and see the best way you can address those issues that you are concerned with. And that matters a lot.
So you have always been Operation Harmony. You have always been the man on the inside, right? You're just revealing yourself. You're not changing anything.
No. I don't think you're right.
Honorable Anthony Call. Let's leave that and go back to the State of the Nation address. I'm genuinely sorry for having Honorable Call.
The difference between what I said we left FDC, but we left FDC and still opposed with the regime. So there is a difference there. I thought the clarity should be made.
The question is, when you are in opposition, you are a government in waiting. If there is no unity even, how are you going to wait? How long are you going to wait?
Okay.
And do you see any hope of ANT, FDC, and NOB, UPC, DP taking power now?
Yes.
Don't you think we need to think and sit and discuss for this country the direction we want to take, other than lamenting and trying to challenge without solutions? The only difference is, for me, I'm coming with solutions and say, this is what I want to be done for the people. Other than waiting until you've taken government, then you solve people's problem. Others would have died. So we better solve their problem when they're still alive.
You see, every time I want to leave this, but you dig the hole for me to get
because
involved.
When he says he has come with a solution, it's like actually
you know what you're dealing with.
You've actually changed the problem.
We are changing the topic now. If you want us to have that as a discussion, you organize a show, and we will make it.
Your brother Norbert and yourselves, especially Norbert, using a very flowery language sometimes. He's a man with the gift of the gab. He would say, you see NRM, all this and that, those guys are the Alec devils. Now I'm like, look, you're dining with the devil now?
That you need to put the question to him.
Those were his words. But Honorable Call, to be fair, if we can leave that, because we don't want to get that rabbit hole. You've had the State of the Nation address from the chairman of the party you've just joined and the president of the Republic of Uganda. What did you make of that?
Number one, it is a constitutional obligation under Article 101A, actually 1. And that talks about the president should address the country. And this is a simple process. In summary, there is a promise that he made last year to Ugandans. He should come and make accountability of what he has implemented out of the promises that he made to the country. And then after that accountability, he should tell us in the next session, the next 1 year, what will the government deliver to the citizens of Uganda as a social contract that the NRM government has signed with the citizens of Uganda in 2021 during the elections, and that is State of Nation address. Last year, I was really complaining about the State of Nation address. This time, I think I must say thank you to the people who drafted for the president the speech. Because when you listen from the beginning up to the end, it captures his accountability on what he promised to the country. And at the same time, he was also giving what he has promised for the next 1 year to be done to the country. Sectors by sectors. On mineral, this is what we are going to do. On tourism, this is what we want to do. On commercial agriculture, this is what we want to do. And this is where we've come from and where we've stopped. So this is what we are going to implement. Now, key on the issues that Honorable was talking about, Gerard, is about the Paris development model. I think Paris development model is not a loan that somebody is paying to the government, but it's a loan that you take from your circle and you have to pay back so that other people should get it. So that the people that you are living with them at parishes will follow you to make sure you pay. Government will follow you to make sure you pay. And the money did not come during campaign period. Maybe it's confusing with Imyoga. The other year, when the campaign was coming, that is when Imyoga came. And to be sincere, it is difficult to account for that money. The borders took it, the politicians took it, the welders, the what, everybody was taking the money, and people thought it was money for campaign. But PDM came earlier, and yes, this is the 3rd year that the money has been going to the people on the ground. Yes, I personally had my own complaint about PDM because the preparation was not done well, but they have started to do firefighting, and a lot has improved, and some success has been registered. We cannot rubbish it completely, PDM. It is really helping people to come out of poverty. But if you listen carefully also, apart from the poor population that are going for PDM, the president was talking about capitalization of UDB, Uganda Development Bank, as a sector that will help those in business to borrow money from them. Money has been given for private sectors to make sure there is development. And he went as far as talking about how they are going to maintain peace in the country.
Let me go to political analyst Eliot Orizarwa. I'm sure you also listened to the speech. Perhaps you have even read it on social media or anywhere. Generally, what is your take on what the president was able to brief Ugandans in his State of the Nation address?
Yeah, thank you so much, Kamara. Thank you so much, viewers. I really want to start from Honorable's operational harmony. Yes, I felt like I should go and pick.
That is not
yes. I thought I should go and pick my nomination forms because I feel I need to join the party because if there is operational harmony. But anyway, thank you so much, Kamara, for that. I heard the president, and I have been reading through his speech. He brings out one of the areas that maybe the people who wrote the speech wrote it very well. But then I want to go back to Honorable Karhanga of was the speech of address a reality to us? Yes, I know you mentioned that a political analyst, but I want to take it back to my area of interest in terms of looking at the regional balance in terms of development for the country, and from the speech that the president, the speech that the president read, when you hear the word creating wealth, and then you hear what the president mentions of going to the family but not ensuring gender then it becomes we are going back. Because between me and you and maybe Honorable Anthony and Kalanga, you know very well that Uganda has been moving and the world have been looking at us in terms of the gender certificate from the Public Finance Management Act. And everyone was like, we are learning from Uganda because we are seeing gender equality, gender equity across even development. And even when you look at the National Development Plan 4, but when you link the two, then you ask yourself, yes, the speech was well, but in terms of wealth creation, and the president brought out 3 things that were very clear on creating wealth, economic growth, and security. And then he brings out the issues of human-rated funding. Like you have heard from Honorable Anthony. Anthony, I want to use your word of operational harmony. We can't talk of seventh position in the development growth because IMF has said it. But then we need to think of the reality of what is happening. I had in the president's speech, he brings out the road network because we need to see growth, we need to see development, and we need to see increased productivity because he's talking about bringing out electricity. But between me and you, if you have gone to different regions of the country, of what I have done, you find that the electricity we are talking about is not there. If we are talking about equality and you are talking about wealth, the president mentioned very well, I heard him saying, you just need to believe that Uganda is in the middle income status. But going back to where we come from, and from the women's rights perspective, where we have our manifesto, the things we have put in the manifesto, linking them to the president's speech, we still have a long journey. Honorable Kalanga brings the issue of education. Just thinking about the human capital development, the area, health, education, water and environment, all those things we still have a long journey to go. And I know Honorable Anthony will agree with me, not because it's yellow or blue or yellow or green, but where are we in terms of development? We still have a very big gap between the rich and the poor. There are people who have school fees, they have school fees for their children, and they can take them to the best schools. But between me and you, and I know Honorable Karanga is going to agree with me, we have homes in Tungamo, in Ruchiga where I come from, where parents can't manage paying school fees. We still have a very big problem of youth employment. People have gone to the university, they have studied, but there are no jobs for them. And the parents are going on to sell land.
So, okay, so now let me come back to you on Abantana call. The state of Uganda, in your case, in Kilaka and Acholi, are the people of Acholi fighting the Valaro whom they don't want to be there. The state of Uganda, in Ruchiga, is unemployment. The state of Uganda, when I'm driving from Kampala to Fort Porto, is the pathetic road I go through that takes me about 8 hours to reach. The state of Uganda, for the NUP supporters, are the NUP members who are disappearing, who are being tortured. The state of Uganda is the corruption. And the president did not talk about some of the things. If we are going to talk about the current things, that is the state in which we are in, isn't it?
Let me first of all put a disclaimer. I am not a spokesperson to talk about these issues. My only concern of today's statements is that it is providing solutions. For example, when the President was talking about creating industries and the budget in place and how the investment will create more jobs, I am totally in agreement that there is unemployment in the country. But he is talking about the solution of industrialization. I am totally agreeing with you about unemployment, but he's talking about skilling the youth and the different areas of skills. And I must tell you, if you study countries like Singapore, if you study countries like Malaysia, when Uganda were getting independent, they were at the same rate of development. But they developed because of these skill trainings. It is not about university education. So I think the government is on the right directions to provide skills to the people. I'll give you a simple example. I visited Kapeka Industrial Park last week. I visited one of the industries, and that is the one that is producing tiles. And it is employing over 1,200 people. And that means Uganda is going in the right direction. And that's why I'm saying I was a bit happy about the speech of today. I must tell you, last year I was very disappointed. The president was telling us, the 2023, that the country is developing, and these are the following sectors that make the country is developing. 1, coffee. 2, dairy. 3, beef. 4, tourism. In the State of Nation Address of 2024, nothing of that kind was there. But today, again, he's telling you, and in other words, is helping us, Ugandans, to know. Because there's macro and micro level.
Okay.
As a family,
okay, let me
if you know that the sector that is developing the country is coffee, it is dairy, it is beef, it is tourism, you must encourage yourself and your family to develop along that line.
I think the number one export earner, if I had him right, is actually not even coffee, it's gold. And I'm wondering,
and that is good, gold.
Where is, first of all, who is benefiting in this gold? Actually, where is this gold coming from? All of a sudden, we are the gold exporting country, right?
You know, when we would hear international statistics about gold and Uganda, sometimes you'd think these fellows maybe don't really like Uganda.
You have some gold in Ntungam?
And until recently, then now you hear the president actually speak about it. So we've been accused of stealing minerals in Congo. Actually, I think they have been budgeting to pay back part of that money of accusations. And it's not shocking. But going back to the state of the nation particularly, first I don't know whether it is the state of the nation address that has changed or it's honorable that has actually changed. Because, I mean, honestly, listening keenly, when you listen to other state of the nation addresses of other leaders, on such an opportunity, address the people. And that's why they are very keen on statistics. So a president will say, the previous year we had this unemployment level, and in this particular year we've gotten 1 or 2 million jobs. And that would be a tick, people will appreciate that. And he would even go ahead, because remember, these days citizens are very keen. So in a decent government, he will even go ahead to show where these jobs actually have been obtained, so that people can cross-check and say, oh, these factories have these jobs. A president on an opportunity like this, he will say, look, in the previous year, we had, let's say, a challenge of access to medicine. And so now, in this particular year, we've made sure that this number of citizens in these particular sub-counties can now access medicine because there is these services are available. So they are specific, they are tangible, they can relate with the people. It's not just it's not storytelling. It's and then also you walk the talk. I mean, when you say that you are investing, let's say, in industrialization, which President Museveni has mentioned, I think, since 1986. I mean, seriously, think about it. If you aid, how is it possible? How is it possible that most of these factories, we have a number of Ugandans who actually have a bit of money who can actually invest in industrialization. So why is it that it's only largely the foreigners who invest in these industries? Largely the reason is they have more incentives. How do you compete with a fellow like Bidiko who has 25 years of tax holiday? How does a Ugandan invest in an industry, let's say cooking oil, in that, and you will compete with Bidiko how? Or make bar soap when Bidiko has 25 years tax holiday? So we need to task our leaders. The president must be very clear to us that the speech, he can make very wonderful statements, but in terms of what is being done on ground, the services, oh please, walk the talk. Let there be departure from rhetoric to reality. Let Ugandans see their leadership.
Is it always a tactic, Honorable Anthony Call, for our president to always take us back 1986 in a State of the Nation address of 2025? Because look, the economy was at 5 billion, 1986 is now at 32. I'm like, I thought it was supposed to be at least 2024 to 2025.
I think those...
sometimes you need to listen to the president maybe once in 5 years because the speech is the same.
I think for those who are
with all respect, the speech is largely the same.
For those who are writing the State of Nation address, if I may say, their base here for the NRM government is 1986. That's the base here. Maybe my advice would be, much as their base here is 1985, they must start breaking it now to yearly. But what Honorable Karanga is saying, that the president should be specific, then you need 1 month for the president to have the State of Nation address.
No.
Because now you begin to talk. You begin to talk about the industries one by one.
No.
And I must tell you, it is not true.
Just a second, Honorable.
No, please.
The figures, just a second.
One at a time.
Yes, the figures.
No.
Honorable Karanga, let's move on about call.
You can go.
Communication has a listening and a speaking bit of it. Because if you start counting the number of industries in the country, if you start going to the health center sub-county by sub-county, then it is not presidential speech. It should now be taken down. Now, it is not true that Ugandans are not investing in industry. I am personally in industrialization. I do building materials. I do distilleries. It is not true that it is Chinese or Indians only who are now doing what? Industrialization. That is not true. And I told you that if capitalization of UDB is done, Uganda Development Bank, to help Ugandans, sometimes we lack information. For the local people in the country to do investment, it is not done for foreigners. The foreigners, they come with their money.
So yeah,
the resources put in UDB is not for foreigners.
I didn't know you're very enterprising.
And the money put for the poor people is embedded in Imyoga, it is embedded in Parity Development Model. I am sorry, I'm not the spokesperson. I'm not supposed to be speaking this.
But at least you have told us.
I'm telling you.
But at least now we know you're an entrepreneur, you're doing this,
yes.
You're into distillery. By the way,
so
what are you doing in Nguli? What?
Yeah, but Kamara, I think I want to interject with Honore.
Yes, I'm coming to you, Elliot, because distillery, you know, the other day I saw somebody making a waragi called Busungu. Busungu waragi.
I have Johnson Waragi gin. Yes. And I do block, I do building materials.
Okay.
I'm a Ugandan. I'm not a foreigner.
What do you make of this?
Yeah, this is very interesting. I said that I will have to call on the president to put me to be part of the advisors, because
you want a job now?
Yes, I want a job. Because if honorable, yes, I need to be part of that, because I think I need somewhere to advise. What honorable is talking about industrialization. You know, honorable have been talking about industrialization, and I think the president brought it again in his speech. But maybe to talk of development and growth, we need to talk about the numbers. When you say you are industrialization, and maybe Kamara is saying, is it Busungu Waragi, is it Kombucha? You know, I know World Bank gave Uganda a loan, and it was for skilling through private sector foundation. And my biggest question was, if we are putting this money to youth and women, and in slum areas, have we really done the mapping to know who is there to do that? And Honorable is saying he's not going to speak for the country. But yes, you were here to tell us whether the president's speech was real, and I think that's why I'm saying that we need a reality check. For me, I did a reality check when I heard the president reading the speech, and I'm like, is this real? Because the president, I will use Ruchiga. The president mentioned like we are going to work on the road from Muhanga to Cape Town. I'm 52 years. I have been waiting for that road to be worked on, you know? And then the president said, we need to really work on family issues, but not gender. And I want to go back to that because of one reason. We are seeing increased violences in the families. We are seeing increased violence against children in the country. And then when we're talking about family and we're not talking about gender, remember it is the society that is constructing
So
that.
you actually want to put the issue of gender-based violence on square on the president?
No, I'm coming to what
Because
he's saying
if
on
we have failed,
industrialization.
if our families are crumbling,
Yes, he's talking on
and the men are beating and harassing the people they should love and care for, is that the president's problem also?
No, it is in that speech. The president said, we are talking of the family, we should look at the family social norms and leave the gender issue aside. And Honorable is bringing out the issue of how the parish development model has brought harmony. But if you listen very well to different regions of the country, again we need to revisit the parish development model. He's talking of coffee, which is a commercial plant. He's talking of cocoa. He's talking of minerals, but we may need to know how many numbers in Uganda are gaining from that. Because if he's talking from the three perspectives of at macro level, at meso level, and micro level, at individual level, I don't know where I come from, Kamara, but if Chenjojo,
village of
you
Ugezi.
go to Chenjojo and just did a sample of 10 families and ask them how many of them have really gained from parish development model. I was there during the poverty alleviation project. I was there through the Ntandikwa, you know. I am here looking at the parish development model, but then thinking that the parish development model is going to help the country develop, is going to help the country come out of poverty, but then we are forgetting the issue of corruption. You believe me, Honorable, parish development model is a very good model, but the corruption in it, the corruption even in industrialization, money will come, but how many Ugandans are going to gain from there?
Okay.
I think the question is,
yes, sir.
Which is very key, and we need to help Ugandans. Is that poverty is in the mind. Poverty is in the mind of people. Because sincerely, I give you a simple example from my place. The poverty is going up on a daily basis. People have the land. They are selling the land. The person selling the land, again, is spending all the money.
But
again, the person goes to poverty.
I don't know.
No, you cannot blame that.
First of all, you are the same person who
Yoweri Museveni.
You are the same person who at one time told me the people in Clark cannot even sell the land because the land does not belong to them. The land tenure system does not allow the Acholi to sell land. So now you're actually telling me they are selling.
That is where
those who are there have actually bought.
Please, listen here.
Yes.
That is where the problem comes from. An individual cannot sell the land if it is customarily owned. If you sell without the knowledge of the family, with no knowledge of your clan.
But now they are selling how?
That's where the problem comes in. And that's where the confusion is coming in. That's why the eviction is talked about. I'm giving you the problem of money given to parish development model and given to individuals. You cannot complain on President Museveni again. You should talk about the implementation issues. We are talking about the gender-based violence at the local level in the household. President Museveni cannot go to your family. Sincerely, how many Ugandans are there?
Gentlemen and lady, hold on to your points. Hold on to your points because we are going to take a break. On the spot, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Kamara. My guests tonight are Honorable Gerard Karuhanga, Honorable Anthony Cole, and we have a political analyst, Elliot Orizarwa. And we're discussing the state of the nation address, the perspective we got from the president as he was briefing Uganda. And you know, Honorable Anthony, there's a gentleman who just sent me here maybe a question or a comment. is actually from Kalerwe, and his name is Sembusi Ivan. Sembusi Ivan says he expected the president to talk about decreasing the money spent and funded to politicians when Ugandans are languishing in hospitals. And if I may just develop a little more on Sembusi Ivan's idea, I expected the State of the Nation address at least to capture the words of Justice Mulyagonja. What she went through while nursing, I think, her dear husband in a National Referral Hospital. If Justice Mulyagonja could say what she said at her level and, really go through very hard times, how about the likes of us from villages where we come from? I thought the State of the Nation address should have touched things like this, that yes, here we are struggling, as in truth telling. Here we are struggling, but probably this is what we're going to do now to do it right.
Uganda as a country has obligation to increase the budget on health. And I think not only on health, even on education, and even on agriculture. That you cannot run out of it. We have to agree there is a problem, especially health. Because if you claim that things are okay, then you're hiding your head in the sand. You're behaving like ostrich. And that is an area that needs a lot of investment. Actually, if I'm supposed to be asked in terms of what money you should borrow for, we need to put more resources in health. Because health is wealth. And I tell you, if anybody come to you and tell you that health system in Uganda is okay, that person is lying. There I agree completely, and something need to be done in health. Something need to be done in education, and something need to be done in agriculture.
Okay.
That I don't, I join NRM, but I'm not going to be somebody who will jump anyhow. Where things are bad, we should say things are bad. And that's the way we can correct the government. That's the way we can make things better. And therefore, I agree with this person on his comment, because it is not right for us to take our citizens out of the country for operations when we can put resources. Okay. We have to be strategic, pick more resources, put in areas that can help all Ugandans.
Talking about resources, I think local revenue mobilization is expected to be at around 30-something trillion, right? But the budget is about over 70 trillion. So not 72 trillion. So in other words, where is that 40 trillion likely to come from, Gerard? You are a member of parliament, you are once a member of parliament, and tasked with the job of appropriation. Where is that money going to come from?
We have a very deep culture of borrowing. And borrowing, ordinarily, if there was one, accountability, two, transparency, but also impact. Ordinarily, you would want to check economies like Singapore or South Korea or even Malaysia. They largely actually borrowed their way up. But they were very, very keen. And what did they do? They made sure that the money they invested in their country, let's say in infrastructure, one, their own citizens learned how to fix these roads themselves. So initially, they employed and brought in foreign expertise. And so, but in every contract they had, they were so deliberate and very intentional to say that you must train a given number of citizens. And so in the initial years, yes, they had to bring in these experts, but subsequently, then they could fix these things themselves. What did that mean? That you don't borrow, let's say, for Entebbe Express. You don't borrow several millions of dollars, and then almost 80% of that money actually also leaves the country, because the contractor largely is going to get some land, supply himself sand from Rwanda. He's going to pick the equipment from China, so, and then he's going to get most of the pay. The workers that get good pay are still the Chinese. So So how does this man actually leave Exim Bank? And so by then what you are remained with is the loan, and which must repay in foreign exchange.
For the money that never remained here.
Yeah, for the money that never remained here, and you have to pay back this money in foreign exchange. So it means that the little money that you collect from coffee, from tourism, then you have to take it back. So government has got to be intentional. Developing a country, apparently it doesn't seem to happen by just talking. And what is interesting, Kamara, is that government seems to know all these things. President Museveni speaks about them almost all the time. But when it comes to reality, to implementation, and Honorable Call, you've joined them. So now you make sure things happen if you can, but surely the experience of the colleagues who have gone back before, I mean, seriously, President Museveni said that when he became president, this country was 14 million people. He said today we are 46 million. That means that 70% of the country, these Ugandans, have been born while he is president. But guess what? 70% of them, the other day it was even increased, I think, to about 80. Of these same people that he says, oh, by Bazukulu, my fellow, they still remain heavily unemployed. And so I wonder...
some of them are unemployable.
But, yeah, and that has been unemployable because...
and yet they have gone to school.
Yes, because you know why? Because the original system is that after, think about it, after senior 6, you've done 16 years in school. And largely, hardly can you almost do anything. 16 years of training, hardly can you do anything.
That's why I'm saying they have gone to, we have gone to school with the certificates and all these things, but at the same time they are unemployable. So
it's not rocket science that you can pick a country. I mean, to be honest, with this government, we've missed a whole 40. I mean, how you have time, 40 years to turn around a country. Singapore had about 20, 25 years to turn. I mean, you can go and see a country and you're like, wow, this is a nation. So I think it's sad to see that we are still referring again to 1986, 1990, I mean, you hear 86 and you're like,
I know,
wait a minute, the state of the citizens that, I mean, I thought, for instance, he would address these democracy issues because, truth be said, when he speaks about the mass line, because you remember at the beginning, I think his emphasis was on the mass line, and I thought this man appreciates what people are going through, but he chooses not to fix it. Because when you talk about the mass line, you are basically talking about the improvement of the ordinary citizen. But what are you doing as a president? Are you uplifting this citizen in the real sense? Or you are basically giving him some little money so that he can support you in the next election? That's where we are now, and that's where we seem to remain. Until we bet, until I hope this man, indeed we can bet, but hopefully those of us who are dissenting, like in the Alliance for National Transformation, we are putting our brains together and encouraging Ugandans that we keep working towards hope, but also that one time there will be credible leaders that can transform this country, because we have adequate resources to take this country to a great place.
This man here in Alliance for National Transformation has really deep and great hope. because sometimes when you think, even when you think it is not there.
But I think he has to believe on one thing. You see, some of the things that the president said today is very encouraging for the country.
Right.
He's talking about we used to export or sell raw minerals. Now we have started. And he's warning other countries in Africa, let us stop. We have to now make sure that our minerals are not exported as raw materials. We process it, and it creates more jobs. So there is hope. That's what I'm talking about.
No,
and he has lost hope.
Okay.
No, please.
Our biggest export earner now
we
is
have
gold.
been waiting for Jesus Christ.
Our biggest export earner is gold. I wonder how many people are in the gold industry.
And
why don't you have hope? Now he has lost hope completely.
For a country that imports peas from Canada, for a country that now gets beans from Malawi and Rwanda, for a country that now is not even having enough maize that we are not picking it from TZ. I mean, seriously. And you are talking about import substitution.
We're importing beans from Rwanda?
Yes. Yeah, it's check the market. Physically, you will see the beans. So, and we have the soils. We have, I mean, when you talk about mechanization of agriculture, where are the tractors? So, please don't give them 1 million. What does it do? What does it help the economy? Oh, no, no. And they know this. They know this, but I mean, that's patronage. But then you can't sustain that forever. So people are beginning to read through the lenses.
I hear Honorable saying, Mr. Kamara, saying that he's in agreement with the government.
Go slow on Honorable Anthony Cole. He's still taking baby steps in the NRM party.
No, I said I'm not a spokesperson.
Yeah, I know. But you see, but somehow...
And then you cannot blame me for anything.
That's what I'm also saying.
But
for me, what I'm saying is that what I'm saying is that there is hope in the State of Nation address.
Okay.
And I picked those key issues. He was talking about the development issues. When the president said, IMF has put us on the map, the 7th fastest growing countries. I mean, it is not him. You cannot say the country is not growing. Why do you say that? IMF is a credible, institution.
You see,
when he said there is a deduction on the income inequality, that means there used to be a very big gap between the rich and the poor. There is something happening now. I mean, we should have the hope. When he's saying that the economy is growing at 7.6%, there must be hope. And he has really put forward why it is happening that way. And that's why I'm saying I appreciate. But at the same time, I'm telling you, where things are not okay, I am with you. But for me, I don't want to keep lamenting. I am saying we should have a solution-based, approach. What do you want to be done now?
Is this solution?
What are you adding now?
Is the solution for ANT, or it is the solution for Uganda?
In ANT, what are you adding? What advice do you give? What should be done now? That is what is going to be in the debate, because after State of Nation address,
I think we are
the members of Parliament will have a debate, and you debate, and the Prime Minister will take those issues, and they should be integrated to form part of the development of the country.
Elliot,
and that's what we are talking about.
Sometimes they think that we Ugandans are to blame because we have lacked this kind of vibrancy in our voices to question our leaders, put them to task, to ask for accountability. What will it take for us to have, a vibrant citizenry that will ask questions that matter, that will not just accept handouts?
Yeah, but see, Kamara, there's a saying.
What will it take?
There's a saying which is that person is political. You hear Honorable Museveni. He was from the other party, and he was seeing things in a different direction. But now he's looking at things in a different direction. The voices are there. You may need to ask the question you asked. We have the 72 trillion for the budget. But where is that money going to come from? How is our capital base? How is our local revenue generation? Who is doing that?
The president said he's going to increase local revenue generation without hurting the businesses.
Yeah, that was very clear, without hurting the business. But where are the business? Go downtown and you hear what people are saying. People are not selling in the shops because citizens don't have money. The economy, when you hear 1, 2, 3, just use a sample of 10 people and ask them, those even who have taken back children to school. You hear Honorable saying people are selling land. I really wanted to ask Honorable, why do you think people are selling land? People are selling land to take their girls to Abu Dhabi, take them to those Arab countries to work. Generally, they are working for 2 million per month, but the 2 million per month, 1% is for those people who sent them there. Then this person has left her family. The husbands are waiting for these women to go work, bring money, build a house, pay school fees.
If you, by the way, even that money is reducing because if you notice, the number of Ugandans going to Saudi Arabia has dwindled because we have also lost the opportunity to send officially our young boys and girls to work there because the bilateral, I think, agreement stopped somewhere.
Yes.
And then the Saudis are now picking the Ethiopians, the Filipinos, and other people. Even that kind of remittances is going to go down because the number, and I got that from the Ministry of Gender,
yes,
the number of Ugandans going to Saudi Arabia has gone down.
So I want to go back to your question of who should demand for accountability. Many times civil society demand for accountability. But then President Museveni says we need to defend, we need to protect and defend the rights of the people. But the rights of the people are the people that work with Honorable Anthony. You know? Today Honorable Anthony is telling them we need to demand for accountability. We need to see where the money is going. And Honorable Anthony is coming out strongly and saying he's in agreement with the government investing in education, health, and agriculture. But then President will tell you it is also very important to invest in security because you can't do agriculture when there is no peace. That is one area. Mm-hmm. And then you find that you can't also invest in those three if we are not going deeper to understand what should I invest in. You are talking of health issues. We have now a problem of non-communicable diseases. You go to Murago, you go to Chirudu, and count the number of people that are crying because they don't have machines for dialysis. You go to the Cancer Institute, you find we don't have even enough doctors to take care of the patients. Go to agriculture, go to Ministry of Agriculture, you know, and find the number of staff that are working there. But most especially, those who reach the farmers, how do we call them? The extension workers. The extension workers. Mm-hmm. The extension workers that we have now have not been retooled to know exactly what is happening. I told you I'm using Ruchiga where I'm used of. People have been planting sorghum, people have been planting Irish potatoes, but today a farmer can't plant without pesticides. I mean, how do we call them? I think the pesticides. Mm. But how much are they? Who can manage buying them? The employments we talked about, the workers, the labor itself, people have grown old. The young people have moved, those who have moved to Arab countries, and the boys who could give labor are here, riding borders. And then you are saying you are investing. Investing in those things are also important, but go to our communities and look at the community road networks. And you say you are talking of industrialization. President Museveni's speech brought it very clearly that we need to continue also doing subsistence farming. But people no longer have land. A person has to sell land to pay school fees for the child. A child is going to complete university and there is no job unless you have a good father somewhere.
All right, I'm going to open the lines, and I hope my producer, let me just, my producer can open the lines.
At least we'll help.
I also need to give you an opportunity, you who is listening or watching, so that you can have your say. You will see the number on the screen of your TV. Please call us and let us hear your view on as far as the State of the Nation address was. In case you disagree with us or the president, that's okay, but remember to disagree with respect. Mm-hmm. Okay, you had an issue.
My one thing is clear. Mm-hmm. I am not disagreeing that people in Uganda is in problem. A case of point worst in my sub-region of Acholi. Mm-hmm. The Uganda Bureau of Statistics will tell you 68% of the people are poor. World Bank says 72% of the people are poor. But the question at hand that I was trying to raise is, what are we doing to remove these people out of poverty? What is your advice to the government? What can we do together? And that's why I was saying, if PDM is a solution for the poor, extremely poor people, how can we make it better? In terms of population, the money should be given depending on the population or the poverty map in the country. That's the kind of discussion we should have. For example, a parish in Acholi sub-region is equivalent to a district in Western Uganda.
What do you mean?
That's what I'm telling you. When there was war in northern Uganda, while the rest of the country was working on administrative units, northern Uganda, the focus was how can we get people out of the war. So there was nothing like dividing administrative units. Actually, one time I took the Minister of Local Government to one parish. He told me this is even bigger than my district. That's it.
I have some people who would want to engage you. I have a call online. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I am Andrew Muhangazi calling here from Barara.
Andrew Muhangazi, you are loud and clear. Go right ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you for the program.
You're welcome.
The State of Nations address today, to me, I say it was a good one. You see, some people don't want to listen to good news. President Museveni came to power in 1986. Yes, he was very good. Today there could be some mishaps, but when he talks of some developments being made, like parish development model, to me, this is a very good program. Only that people who would be now helping him to implement the program themselves probably have not understood the program. Probably there could be some challenges of benchmarking, I can say. But he has very good programs that should be taking this country forward. When he talks of road network, indeed, the road network has increased. Sometimes he asks Ugandans, you want me to make the road here, but what are you producing? But he has gone ahead to make these roads and told them use the government programs to produce and put something to the market. Today, we see the increase in power generation. We see the increase in education. Although it themselves have created challenges, probably of very many graduates coming out, but maybe fewer jobs. Now, the emphasis is on skilling Uganda. If really Ugandans are to embrace all these programs properly and understand this government, to me, we are going ahead. We have something to do that really can help also the president to, move on this country very well.
Thank you very much, our caller from Mbarara there. We've been very elaborate, and so you've spoken with clarity, and this to you was a very good speech. Thank you. Somehow interrupted you. You could also, many of you, if you, yes, I have another call online. What's your name? What's your name?
This is Engineer Ndula. Hello?
Yes, your name and where you're calling from?
This is Engineer Ndula calling from Kiruhura.
Engineer Ruvura from Kiruhura.
From Kiruhura, the place called Nyamambo.
Nyamambo.
You know, really,
are you near Mzee Changungu's place?
Sorry?
You are from Nyamambo. Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah. So what I'm talking about, what I want to talk about, is these politicians like Anthony Akol, who is rotating in any political party. Whenever he reaches and finds something to eat, he feels as if he has reached in heaven. And they don't want to tell people truth. For sure, I'm telling you. Really, we people, I don't know how we are going to choose the right leader who will fight for us. Sometimes back I used to listen to Anthony Akol, what he used to say about this government, and it was true. And now what he's saying is also truth. I don't know what is the truth, because it's like when these people are eating, they don't see the bad thing which is in this government. But in actual sense, this address, it is a repetition. Every year you listen, every speech you hear every year, it is the same word, it is the same word, it is a repetition. For sure, we Uganda, we no longer have hope in our leaders. I'm telling you the truth.
All right.
That is the truth thing.
That's very interesting. From Kiruhura, you said? In the Kazo. in a village that I know. All right, let me try to. I have another call online. Hello.
This is Herbert Mwine from Ginger.
Herbert Mwine Ginger.
Yes.
Go right ahead, sir, and make it very brief.
A friend of Anthony. Anthony has been with you in FDC. But I'm just disappointed with your statements you have just made. Anthony, the situation is still the same. But I don't know how you forget me. Is there? Or you are looking things in a different way. Kaluhanga, you know me, I know you. The other lady, I don't know. But it is unfortunate you to be an NMP who is representing even me in Ginger. Be realistic. This country is not going anywhere, Anthony. You look smart with your children going to school. Ours in Busoga are not going anywhere. Why are you not fair for you and the rest of Uganda? You are not MP from the north. You are our member of parliament. Me, I'm disappointed.
Yes.
Disappointed.
Yeah, this is former producer. Thank you very much.
I'm almost crying.
Yes.
Looking at you on the television set.
You have made your point, and your point is taken. Thank you very much. He almost said, "What happened, Anthony?"
I wanted to answer him and say it is operational harmony.
Especially after saying that the poverty has kept increasing, even in his own area. What happened?
But let's not okay, this is State of the Nation address.
I think you're not understanding me. And I think the listeners has never understood me. My issue is very simple. I said we need to work on the problems of Uganda together. The rest of Ugandans want us to keep lamenting. And that's the problem. Because if we are saying, I am not able to send my children to school, what has gone wrong, first of all, within your family? I put you a simple question. When somebody is given 1 million Uganda shilling for parish development model, I would blame it on mindset change. Because poverty is in the mind. Somebody in another area is using 1 million to produce onions and has increased the money to a certain amount of money. This one has not done anything with the money. Somebody has used the money to start a budget, a business. For example, in my village, a woman picked 1 million, started selling fish. She will go and get fish from a Jumani side, come and sell in my village in Pabo. And she's getting money with that. And you are blaming President Museveni for that poverty again? What is it?
All right.
And that's my issue.
Okay.
I am not saying,
okay.
I am not saying,
our time is out.
I am not
Gentlemen and ladies,
things are okay.
Our
But I'm saying, what are you doing as a passion other than blaming President Museveni?
Let me do it like this.
Change the
Elliot, I'm coming to you, Elliot.
Not the president.
Elliot, your concluding remark.
Concluding remarks, this is serious. Thank you so much. But can I first give information to Honorable Anthony? Honorable Anthony, parish development model is very good. Actually, my research on parish development model, on what it has done on the economic empowerment of women. But the question is, when you bring this 1 million to household, have you first done research to find out the problems that are in that household? Because you may bring that 1 million in the household, but you find that there are 2 kids who are not going to school. So I will not leave my kids crying to go to school. Then I put this 1 million in business. I'll first clear school fees. Then the mind you are talking about, the mind you are talking about depends on the magnitude of the problem.
All right.
But my summary is, I really want to appreciate the president, because many times we don't have time to get accountability from our leaders. But when a president comes to the nation and gives his accountability, and then gives us even time to go deeper to analyze it, I really want to give credit to that. But I would have loved that in the next state of the nation, to be able to show us how development is being measured from different regions of the country. Because to my own perspective, I still see a very big gap in terms of inequalities from different regions of the country. Thank you so much.
Honorable Gerard, your concluding remark?
Well, I had hoped that the president would actually address the state of democracy in this country. And that, for instance, he would explain to us why when Ugandans are really against, let's say, the UPDF Act that was largely procured, why he insists on forcing some of these things and the incarceration of the young people, and why Dr. Besigye has remained in prison against all attempts of a legal and decent process. And I didn't hear anything to do with that. But again, that's not surprising. So for me, my message to Ugandans is that we can't afford to lose hope. There will be some of us who will drop off, but we must stay course. Countries eventually fix themselves. And there must be people who choose to remain strong, remain focused on the progress and the future of their own country. And so let's keep pushing, we'll certainly get there.
Thank you. Honorable Anthony Cole, you get to tell us the last word.
My message to Ugandans, we should not begin to think that we should wait until President Museveni is not there, or when this government is not there, then we start to deal with our problems. We have to approach our problems now. And we have to harmonize and see the best way we can share this country. Uganda is too big for us. We can share it. And we are keeping this country not for ourselves. We are keeping the country for our future generation, for our children, and for our grandchildren. We need to live it better. We can only live it better when we can harmonize. So go Operation Harmony. Look at how we can address our problems as Ugandans now. Instead of blame game only, it should be solution-oriented leadership that we should provide for this country. That is my last word.
I've heard him.
Thank you very much.
Commander Operation Harmony. The commander of Operation Harmony, Anthony Cole. Honorable Anthony Cole, Member of Parliament for Clark North. Thank you so much, sir. Honorable Gerard Karuhanga, I thank you. And Elliot Orizarwa, thank you so much. You've been phenomenal tonight. Sometimes my guests here, you see them maybe jostling and almost in conflict, and sometimes they may even look like angry. It's not that they hate each other, it's because they love Uganda more. Good night, God bless Uganda.